Consistency is king, and consistency overall will move mountains. Start quickly, start easily, but then the most important thing you can do after you've given yourself that spark to start is stick with it, because you really can't see if it's working or give it a chance if you haven't given it a long enough runway to perform. This winter, the first season of my podcast, Wealthy White Coat, aired. And I kind of can't believe that we're already to the last episode of season 1. My goal for this season was to teach white coats the journey of making a market. And I focused these 18 episodes on the basics of how to think like an entrepreneur, how to take those first brave steps into creating your own impact on the world. And creating a podcast was fun. It was also super awkward. And it was definitely my first time doing something with all the growing pains, but I'm really proud of what was built, and I had way more downloads and success than I was expecting. So thank you for your ears and your lovely responses. It was so fun and rewarding to start new things. My goal for this first season was just to lay a foundation for a different kind of thinking and introduce you to various people doing big things in the world to kind of get your wheels turning on what it is you can be doing too. Here's a few of my favorite topics that we've covered this season. Making money and an impact at the same time, how to just start as a minimalist entrepreneur, why you shouldn't quit your job for your business just yet, how to build a winning team to support you from day one, how to dominate a micro niche, and dealing with negative thoughts. Building innovative businesses like new practice models for underserved communities, consulting with no prior experience, working as a self-made sports pharmacist, and embracing social media along the way were also pretty cool to hear about. And now I want to share, honestly, the ups and downs of what this experience was actually like, and the principles I'm hoping to teach you as I'm living this in public, trying something new, validating how well it's working, and having those results show me what my next steps should be. I'll just share very honestly some ups and some downs to what starting a first season of a podcast is like. Let's start positive here. Let's start with some ups. So ups, it was really cool in a matter of months to see that I'm getting hundreds of people to listen every week. How cool is that? Some ups also, we're getting feedback that people really enjoyed my thoughts, and working with a really great company, Legacy Media, to help me get up and running quickly and easily. I just wanted to share 2 feedback that people sent me directly on LinkedIn. Hi, Jamie. Just wanted to let you know I love your new podcast. It's so wonderful to hear a female pharmacist that's also a busy mom leading the way in pharmacy entrepreneurship. You have a talent for speaking. Excited to hear more. And someone else said, I just listened to the first few episodes of your podcast, and we have such similar experiences. So great to see pharmacists breaking free from the golden handcuffs and giving our profession a chance to shine. Thank you for the inspiration. It's so cool how people come out of the woodworks and share positive feedback. And that is a real up that I've discovered for starting a podcast. Now, it's not all ups. Life is not all ups and rosy and I started this thing and now it's amazing and my life is incredible. There are also some downs that come with starting something new too, and we have to talk about those as well. So some real downs for starting a podcast was feeling like I can't compare with professional podcasters and YouTubers. I've always listened to podcasts for years. Since I was in college and podcasts were a thing, I started to listen to them and I've enjoyed listening to them. And now I listen to them even more critically and hear how good they are. And yes, it gives me good ideas for my podcast, but I feel how incredibly far I have to go. And honestly, at times I feel like maybe I should just not do a podcast until I'm at this person's level. That's a real down that I feel even now as I listen to different podcasts every day. Another down is just hearing how some of my episodes sound and kind of cringing at how I could have improved when I listened to some clips of them and thinking I could have done so much better. It's easy to not be satisfied with your work, but always wanting to do it more and more and more and better and better. Another down is getting a solid 1-star review on the podcast that someone did not like it, and getting that quantitative feedback that everyone has their own opinion. It's fun to get all of the good reviews, but honestly, you're not for everyone. And that is a part of life that not everyone's going to like what you do. So getting a solid 1-star review, I would count as a down, but you expect it. It's par for the course. You still have to feel it. Lastly, another down, that it's honestly weird to see yourself on video or hear your voice on the air. And a full confession is I actually haven't listened to one of my whole episodes for this very reason. I haven't ever gone through the whole thing and listened to it again. I just get weirded out. I like creating it, but I don't know, something about seeing myself and actually listening to it. I think of all the things that could have gone better or just overanalyze my voice or how I look. So I don't actually watch them once they're done. So I don't know that that's a down per se, but it's just that feeling of putting yourself out there and then like seeing what that looks like. I felt that. So that's I guess the way I dealt with that was just to ignore it. So there's the full and honest truth of the ups and downs of how starting something new feels. And as someone who started a lot of new things in the past 3 years, I can definitely say that this is not unique to starting your first season on a podcast. I felt these emotions, these same ups and downs, whatever I've done in just starting something new. There's a high and a really great feeling of getting positive feedback from people that they like what you're saying and they like what you're doing and you have some sort of positive impact on the world. That feels really good. There's also the downs of feeling like, oh, someone's ahead of me. I could never be as good as they are, and getting critical feedback that some people do not like what you're doing and they strongly disagree with you. This is not unique to podcasting, and that's what I want to spend the rest of this episode talking about, is just principles to learn from starting something new. I'm not sharing the details of this season to get more downloads this week. I'm just sharing what I built and how it works because this applies to you and starting something new too. The first time you do something, it's going to be awkward and it's probably not going to go gangbusters. That's real life. It'll probably just go decently well. You'll get a little bit better every time. And that's what I've really been trying to teach in this season in every episode, that you've got to try something new and give it a chance to grow. So the 6 things that I've learned that I want to summarize from doing something new yet again that I think are timeless and apply to any new pursuit. Here they are, 6 things. Number 1, someone will always be ahead of you. Just do your own thing anyway. It doesn't matter what other people are doing or how far ahead of you or how polished they are. I know there are countless people ahead of me with way more polished podcasts and YouTube videos that are so glitzy and fun, but I still have a voice and I still have something to say. So I'm going to say it regardless of who's ahead of me and how good they look. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. You just have to focus on you and do not compare yourself to where they are. You're just focusing on yourself and getting better every day and getting the habit of starting something new, which leads me to point number 2. You're going to be awful when you start. You're going to be absolutely awful when you start because you've never done it before. You've never done this thing before. So you can't expect yourself to be good and you can't wait to start until you feel like you're perfect at what you do. That's not how life works. You got to be awful and awkward when you start. And if you avoid it, waiting to be perfect, then you will never, ever start. So just accept that you'll be awful and have fun being awful. And when you take out the stigma that you've never done this before and it's so awkward and you're awful, like you can just have fun with it and laugh about it. And don't let that stop you from starting. You're going to be awful. Just accept it and have fun with it. And you can deal with it in your own way. Like I was saying above, I still don't like watching my videos or hearing my voice. So I feel like I don't like hearing it. So the way I deal with being awful is I just don't listen to it. I just keep creating and getting feedback from people. But I also subject myself to actually listening to it. So there's coping ways to be awful when you start and just go forward confidently. Number 3 is you're going to get some solid 1-star ratings just like I did. That's part of life. That's part of having an opinion and doing something unique in the world. A lot of people will agree with you. Some people will not agree with you. You have to accept that from day one. Not everyone's going to think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread and cheer for every single thing you do. People have opinions and you're not going to be pleasing to everyone. And my goal and what I shoot for is I want 80 to 90% of people to agree with me. I want to draw a line in the sand where people clearly know what I think and what I like. And that's for most people, but for some people it's not. And I actually like that because it helps draw people to you more because you have an opinion and you're willing to place your flag in the ground and stand for something. Because if you're trying to please everyone, you're not going to please anyone. And it'll just be like lukewarm nonsense you're sharing with the world. So it's okay to get 1-star ratings and to get feedback that is critical. And I would consider that critical feedback not only by people saying like, oh, that's someone who doesn't agree with me, but what can I learn from what they're saying? Like, is there a piece of truth in there? What can I learn from that? And how can I be better? So I actually really like critical feedback because it helps you get better too. It helps you identify your tribe and who your people are. But also, sometimes unfiltered feedback can really be helpful too, because at times it has a grain of truth. There's also a lot of just negativity and criticism on the internet. So you have to, have a bit of thick skin. But if you're willing to hear what people are saying, if they disagree with you, it helps make you better. So I wouldn't be worried about people giving for critical feedback. Use that to your advantage and make yourself better. So step number 4 is the fact that you started and did something really sets you apart from everyone else, and it gives you the muscle to do new things. The act of starting and continuing to do something really sets you apart. Most people will never do this. They just think that when the time is right, then they'll start, but they keep just waiting and waiting and waiting. And by starting, you're going to grow new muscles that other people don't have. And so the act of starting and just doing the thing that's in your head, even if it doesn't feel like the right thing, just starting on one thing is so much more important than waiting for the perfect thing. And I found that the act of starting is really a strong muscle that gives you momentum for being able to do things quickly. So for me, I love starting things because then I can put my energy into doing the thing rather than overthinking it and overanalyzing it and just wasting that energy away. Because people who can start things quickly can also pivot quickly with what they've started to make it even more perfect. The 5th principle that I've learned from starting a podcast is just to expect nothing and appreciate everything. I think when we start something new, we just expect or hope that the whole world will think it's like the coolest thing ever and will flock to us and like love what we're doing. But you have to expect that no one knows who you are, no one cares what you're doing, and appreciate any feedback you get and appreciate any time someone does even the smallest nice thing for you is everything. So when you expect nothing and appreciate everything, it makes what you're doing fun and you're not smothering your endeavor with expectations that are going to ultimately ruin everything. So just appreciate everything and just have fun on the journey. Because when you expect nothing, then anything is up and it really makes it fun. Especially when you're just starting, expectations can kind of ruin everything and keep you from starting. Which brings me to my point number 7 is don't overthink and just start and give yourself the freedom to try something and stick to it for 3 months. Now I know it sounds kind of contradictory to just start. I love starting things, but you also have to be consistent with them for at least 3 months and give them a chance. Consistency is king, and consistency overall will move mountains in a way that quick starts or like flash in the pan endeavors could ever do. Start quickly, start easily, but then the most important thing you can do after you've given yourself that spark to start is stick with it for 3 solid months, doing something at least weekly toward what it is your goal and you're working on. Because you really can't see if it's working or give it a chance if you haven't given it a long enough runway to perform. And even 3 months, I would say 3 months is almost too little. I would say it's the bare minimum. Really, 6 months to a year is beautiful breathing room to create something and see how it grows without needing results within days or weeks. But 3 months is a good place to start, and it I think is short enough that our brains can comprehend that we're going to stick with something for 3 months before we see how well it's going and adjust. In review, 6 things we learned. Someone will always be ahead of you. Do your own thing anyway. You're gonna be awful when you start. Do it anyway. You're gonna get 1-star ratings. That's fine. Not everyone's gonna agree with you, and you can actually learn a lot from critical feedback instead of people always telling you how great you are. Number 4, the fact that you started sets you apart from other people and gets a muscle growing that you can't grow in any other way. 5 is expect nothing and appreciate everything. Just enjoy the journey and don't expect specific results. And step number 6 that I think is most important is just when you're starting something, stick with it for 3 solid months. If you're fizzling after days and weeks every time, you don't give it a real chance to start and to grow. So that's what I've learned from this first season of podcasting that I teach you to apply to your life and whatever it is you're starting, because they're timeless principles that apply to any situation when you're starting something new that you've never done before, especially when it's scary and awkward. And so what's next for season 2 for this Wealthy White Coat podcast? In the next season, starting this fall, it's going to be a different tempo. Now, I could talk about entrepreneurship and healthcare for the next unlimited seasons, but where's the fun in that? I really want to feature a particular group of practitioners who are working hard to bring precision medicine to their community. I really love speaking in specifics, and I know you're going to love it because these practitioners are going to be doing 90% of the talking by sharing their impact that precision medicine has on their own patients in their own community. And perhaps most people in the world would start off their podcast by hitting the precision medicine drum really hard, but that's not for me. I wanted to first attract people who are open to different big thinking and then talk about personalized healthcare and shine a light on those doing it across the country and across the world. Because I think it's more important that you're a big, new, innovative thinker. And I want to attract and teach people who think like that and then dive into the specifics of precision medicine rather than only talking to the very niche precision medicine crowd, because it's more important how you think and the desires you have for the world than the specific knowledge you have. And my goal is to create an army of genetic practitioners who are really helping patients on a one-to-one level in their communities now that they so desperately need. I think you're going to love a different tempo and a different pace coming up in season 2 this fall. And you don't have to wait clear until this fall to learn more. If you're hungry to learn more about precision medicine now, we actually have a case study going this week, a couple of times this week. So check out wealthywhitecoat.com to see what time the next case study is of practitioners who are using precision medicine in their own community now, most of them with 0 prior experience. Thank you so much for joining me on season 1. I've had so much fun. Thank you for letting me be a beginner and be awkward. I'm excited to improve and be better for season 2. And I hope, if nothing else, you've been inspired to take one next step in where it is your heart wants to go, where you could make a difference in the world with your unique talents and abilities. You are meant for something great. You are meant for something different. It's up to you. The future is calling. Please take that one step today to just start. Thank you.